Hey guys, it's Ryu from Team Selfless, and today I have with me FGB, formerly of Team Zapug Gods or ZPG, and we're gonna talk with him a little bit about his history, his experience in CS:GO, and then some of the recent happenings with that team that he is no longer with, and get a feel for what his goals are, how he's working to achieve them, and then hopefully end with a little bit of advice that he can give to all the young gamers out there looking to go big in CS:GO. So FGB, if you can, for those that might not be familiar with you and your background, just introduce yourself, discuss a little bit of your history in the Counter-Strike scene, discuss maybe a couple of the teams that you've been on, and we'll go from there.
Well, my name is Bilal FGB, Ahmad, and
What is
I
your
don't know. I
name?
mean, Ahmad, Bilal.
That's the meme,
Yeah,
right? So I had to
I
hit
know
you with
you. I
that.
know you had to start with that. I knew, dude. I knew you were gonna start with that shit. Um, yeah, I don't know. I started playing this game in like 1.6. Um, maybe. I mean, I first touched the game when I was like really, really young, 1.5, but I didn't like actually start playing and start getting good until 1.6. When really like I never played for any big teams. I really just pugged most of the time on ESEA. And like towards the end of the game, like right when 1.6 died, is when I'm like, when I started to get better. When I was finally like, hey, I'm getting better at this game. This is such a damn hard game. And then boom, it just dies, and CS:GO comes out. The beta and all this stuff. So what happened was I picked up the game. I started playing it on ECA, and I saw that, hey, wow, I'm like wrecking kids in these pugs, and I'm getting my aim's really good, and all this stuff. But I didn't really have like a mind for competitive play. Like I didn't really care about that. I was still in school, and I just had no feeling towards it. And then there's this ex invite player, Drake. He played for Resented. It wasn't Resented. It was this 1.6 team. I forgot the name of it. They didn't end up going to LAN, but they did like decent in invite for like the last season. He picked me up to play an open,
Is that Drake that
and
spells it with the A and the E switched?
yeah, A&E,
Yeah,
yeah,
okay.
that's Drake. And he picked me up for Resented, and he basically taught me like how to play the game, and he basically like put me in this environment, and he told me that I had like really good aim, and I have a lot of potential, and all this stuff. So I went from open to main to premier with them, and with after premiere, like I just wanted to leave. I feel like I had to go somewhere else, and I did. I joined Davies' team. I joined Splice, which was it Affinity back then? I think we were in the same league as your team, right? Which one is it?
So we were in IM seasons and seasons ago, and
I
then
think it was
from there
Premier
we
though.
made it to Premier, and then we were in Premier for
Yeah.
2 seasons. One season that was rough. Second season is the season that I
hmm
came back, and that was the season that we made it to Pro League.
It's like you had Kusta and you just had Anomaly.
Yep, Kusta, Anomaly, Uber,
Yeah.
myself, and ZNF.
Okay. Yeah, I think it might have been that season. I'm not sure, but yeah, I joined that team, and I played my first Evo Pro season with them, and I felt like amazing. Like I was fragging against the like top teams like Liquid, Elevate at the time, Denial, like all those teams. I was doing really good, and then I don't know, like I had a couple of really bad pressure matches like that I didn't do really well in, and I ended up getting cut. Davey, told me blah blah. You need to get better. We feel like you don't have enough experience. So time goes on. I joined SKDC. I get cut from them, and I joined these two teams, and I had like a goal. Like I wanted to get somewhere, but like the dream sort of dies when you get cut. But it also made me like I wanted to get better, and with these two teams, like when I got cut, I actually worked on something, and I knew that I had to get better. I knew that I couldn't play at this top level without having the game sense. So I pretty much like played in a couple of premier teams, but that's how I made it to pro, and that's how people know me now.
Okay.
How I'm in FPL
And
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 rank
what?
S.
So you mentioned Davey said you need to work on some stuff and get a little bit
Mhm.
better. What happened with SKDC? What was the reason you
With
were let go from
SKDC,
that
it was
team?
more of my like I wouldn't say like passion for the game. I really had a lot of passion, and I did care about the game, but it was just paying attention. I couldn't deny it. Like some of the times I wouldn't like hear the call. Sometimes I wouldn't pay attention to the call, and other times it would be some of my game sense where I wouldn't know what to do. But they did help me with that, and I did get help with that from other players too. So that I mean, yeah, that was pretty much the whole issue. They told me that they couldn't, they wanted to pick up someone that was,
It's
had a
more
little more
more of the mental
experience.
game than anything
Yeah,
else. Okay,
pretty
that's
much.
fair. And so then after SKDC, you said you played on a few premier teams.
Yeah, I think I played with VVV. Was it
Okay,
VVV? No, 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 no. That was before I joined SK. I played with VVV. I joined Coast. I joined Coast Gaming with Scrunk, Drake, and Invert. That was, you remember that team.
I
That was,
do. Yeah,
yeah, them. And then I ended up leaving to join SK, and that's when I got cut from SK.
gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah, and after that, I didn't really play with any other teams for about three months, 2 or 3 months. And then I joined ZPG, which was with Marv, CJ Whitmer, and I think Hades.
okay. Yeah, then that team that had a couple different
And
rosters. Yep,
Android.
and
Yeah,
then the team is obviously different now, as Hades
yeah,
went to Winter Fox and Android went to Complexity.
Complexity.
Yep.
Yeah.
So what did you do between SKDC and Zapug Gods to work on the issues of game sense and what we categorize broadly as kind of the mental
Well,
game?
I was really fortunate because I got into FPL, so I was able to play FPL, play with these players that I looked up to, and get better with them because I got a lot of advice from good players in FPL. I got a lot of good advice, and I learned how to play a lot more. And I think it's maybe in the long run, FPL and Rank S have made me a really really good player. Like I think in a team environment, like I could show people that I could compete with like just some of the top players. And that's basically what I did for my time before I joined ZPG. I just played FPL. I streamed for fun playing FPL, but I also like learned, and I tried to work on my game. Because when I joined SKDC, I wasn't an entry fragger, but they told me, hey, we want you to run into sites, kill people, all this stuff. And the type of player that I am is, no matter what, I will always listen to my IGL. Like if the round just started and my IGL tells me to go run out A and either get a kill or die, I'll go do that. And there'd be times where my IGL would tell me to do that, and we'd end up winning the round because of it, because I'd get like 2 kills or a kill. You know what I mean? 'Cause just but that's how I use that's how I play this game. Like no matter what, listen.
Okay.
And after that, I'm like, okay, I'm just gonna try because I used to pretty much like either be secondary or lurk. And after I got cut from SK, I tried to work on my oh my god, I lost the words. My entry fragment. And I watched demos and I watched all these players and I tried to become like a really good entry fragger.
Who was the player that you feel in watching them on demo? Who was the player that was most value adding to you, just to kind of watch or mirror their play?
Honestly, it's hard. I liked, and this is gonna sound weird. I actually like to watch Freakazoid
Okay. Yeah, I don't
a
think
lot
that sounds
because
weird. I
yeah,
think if you're looking for someone that fulfills the role of an entry
yeah,
fragger, Freak's probably one of the best. He
he was
trusts the
he was a
call,
really good
and
entry fragger.
he's not afraid to commit to the site, even if he
Yeah,
knows
I
it's
watched a
certain
lot of
death.
his
So,
I watched a lot of his games, and I mean I don't know, like there's a lot of players, like I don't know, I'm trying to think about like what player like I really like got an impact from. I'd say like Freiburg.
okay.
I liked watching Freiburg a lot because he brought a lot of like talent to it. Like he had a lot of talent with it. Like he was like a really like I'd say like crazy style the way he entry fragged, and that's what I wanted to do. Like I wanted to go in and I wanted to be like the smartest entry fragger. You know what I mean?
Okay.
And I mean yeah, like demos could only get you so far.
Sure.
That's how I felt, and I don't know, like not playing with a team, it didn't do me, that justice. Like it didn't do me, like I wasn't able to like get my full potential up.
Okay. So then you between the teams you played a lot of FPL, which is I guess everyone now plays rank S, and
Yeah.
then in FPL you kind of worked on being the first in. You wanted an entry, and then
Mhm.
and then where did you get? When did you kind of intersect with Zapug Gods? Were you picked up as an entry fragger? Was it because they played with you in FPL or rank S? Like how did that come to be?
Well, it was Whitmer. Like Whitmer, when I used to play FPL, and Whitmer, like you know how Whitmer is, like he's extremely hyper most of the time. When he sees a good player, he likes them, compliments them. So basically, I would do really good in FPL, and Whitmer messaged me one day. He goes, "Hey, he didn't even ask me if I wanted to play. He goes, "You're gonna come play with us, for the rest of the season, and we're gonna make land, and we're gonna fight, all this shit." And I'm like, all right, because at that time I had no offers, and this was the best team I could play with. They were like 2-2 or something. in Premier. Yeah, it was like something like that. And this was the best team I felt like I could have joined at the time, being my situation. So I joined them, and it was this team. And basically we weren't stratting, we weren't getting on for we scrimmed, but we would never like call strats. We would just have Whitmer with this crazy IGLing telling us to go pug it, and but it was like
So
strats. Like,
you guys were really the pug
yeah,
gods.
we were smart guys. Like
Okay,
we
that's
had
an
no strats, nothing.
interesting
Even
approach.
at LAN, there was no strats whatsoever. We ended up beating Caliber and almost taking a map off of Tempo.
Okay.
Yeah.
So then you played the entire season with them, from
I say like half of the
four
season.
4 or 5 games into the season. Finished
Yeah.
the season in what place in the regular season? Because I think it was top
Fifth?
6 make the LAN made the
I
LAN.
think it was fifth. I think
Okay.
we were fifth.
Okay, so from there you made the LAN, and then you attended the LAN where you had to play for, I think, top 2 moved up, right? So you had to get first or
Yeah.
second to move up. And talk to me about that LAN, how the team did, how you did, and any other thoughts you have from the Premier LAN.
It was a crazy line because we still had no strats. All
And
right,
so
basically,
let me take a step back and ask, why didn't you have strats? Was that a conscious decision that you guys made of like, all right, guys, we don't want to have any set plays, we want to just play loose, and that
yeah.
was the style, or was it just no one really kind of brought that to the table and said, okay, guys, let's dry run something? Like, why didn't you have that element to the game in this era of Counter-Strike that tends to be a little tactically heavy?
Yeah. Um, when Whitmer left and Hades left, we were caught with like no, like we had to play with our coach, Ken Chow, and I took up the IGL role. And I've never IGL'd in my life. I have never like even thought about it. Every time someone asked me about IGLing, I would say, hell no, I'm not doing that shit. Like I'm not. I hate it. But I'm like, I have Marv and CJ, and I know Marv and CJ weren't gonna IGL because they just I wouldn't say they're stubborn, but I don't want to take them out of their, like, they didn't want to get caught out of their role, which is like running around and just becoming, they had really good aim.
For people that aren't familiar with your team, it was you, Marv, CJ,
Android. Yeah.
and Cannon Chow, and that was
Yeah.
the team you played at the LAN with.
Yeah.
Okay, and that was because Hades had gotten picked up
By Winter
and
Fox.
Whitmer got picked up during the season.
Yeah.
Okay. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt. You can
No, it's fine, it's fine. Yeah, so Hades and Whitmer got picked up, and I took up this IGL role, and this right before we went to the LAN, we ended up playing a BO. This was a day after Hades left. We played a BO3 against C9 and Winter Fox, and
in scrims.
and scrims. Yeah, no. It was a BO3 match. Sivo. It was like this was a match to go to what was it, Sivo? The Sivo LAN?
Yeah, they did the bracket systems.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it was like that. And I don't know, we just like, hey, let's just try it out. Maybe we'll get picked up by a sponsor if we win and all this stuff. So we're like, all right, let's just do it. So we played Winter Fox, and this is when I took up the IGL. Like, this is right. I'm like, okay, I'm gonna IGL. I feel like I know how we could beat these teams, because what Kanichal wanted to do is he wanted to do very slow plays, and I wasn't about that. I wasn't about like slow plays against these already established teams, And they would have destroyed us. So what I did is I took up the role, and I called these very puggy strats, but like sort of with a little knowledge, because like when I played in FPL, I played with like Fall and all these great IGLs, and I took up a lot of strats from them, like puggy strats, and I remember those. So I called those. And I called like mid games and everything, and it was great. We beat Winter Fox 2. I think it was 2-1 or 2-0. I'm not sure. And then we ended up like we said, okay, let's just try to do good against C9. We had no idea we were gonna get like a map off of them, and then almost beat them too. So we ended up playing C9. We took one map, and then we lost I think an overpass, something like that. A map that we really didn't want to play, but it was like 16-12, 16-13 or something. They beat us, and then they took Cobble. Or under some other map, I forgot. It was Inferno. It was Cash, Overpass, Inferno, and they beat us on Overpass and Inferno. But basically, like, I IGL'd against them, and I was really surprised that we could do that good with Cannon Chow. No offense, Cannon Chow was just, he was just a manager, sort of, coach.
Sure.
And we did really well. Like, we all played great, like, against, the C9 team, and I was like, wow, this team could actually go somewhere if we just, keep up our shit. And maybe if we even practice more, we could be better than these teams,
Okay. And so you brought those positive results. Things were looking pretty
Yeah.
good despite losing some players very close
Mhm.
to when the LAN itself was taking place.
Yeah.
Then you go to the LAN, and who did you play first?
We played Team Caliber, which we were, I don't say we were afraid, but we were like, wow, we have to play this team first because Caliber was known as like these kids that are upcoming and they're gonna destroy everybody and everything. So we're like, crap, we gotta play them first. So we ended up like, we ended up playing Mirage. Oh man, what was it? It was Mirage, Cash, and Train. That was it.
Okay.
And we got destroyed on Mirage. We lost Mirage, and then we played Cash and Train. Cash and Train, I ended up calling. I know Cannon Chow was like calling a little bit, but I was pretty much like telling everybody like, we got to do this, that, throw these smokes, and all this stuff. Just do this fast, and we ended up winning, and we did really really good too. Like on Cash and Train, like we actually like like usually what happens with a pug team versus a set team is, yeah, they do good for this amount of rounds, but then they end up like choking, and that's it. Like they don't win. Like it's just the result of not a team not being organized. But we went through and we beat them, and we got that like finals match against Tempo, and we thought it was insane. Like everyone was like surprised that we did really well, and I was really happy at that point because I thought like basically when I made the LAN and we did really good against these top teams, I'm like, okay, I found like a good team that I could play with. I found a good team that values and teamwork and everything. Like even though we had no strats, but one thing I want to point out is like right before the LAN came up, I for like 4 or 5 days straight, maybe a week, I tried to get everybody on to practice all the time, but no one wanted to do it. I wanted to get ready for this, you know what I mean? And basically, since no one wants to practice, I spent like that time like watching demos, DMing, and playing rank S just so I could show up at the sign because I don't want to come to the LAN, do completely terrible, and then just not have anything, like not have anything to show for it.
Sure. And so you beat Team Caliber, and
Yeah,
and that guaranteed you at that point that you guys would
the
be making
finals.
it into Pro
Yeah,
League for the next season, right? Because it was the top two
yeah.
from Premier Land made it
No,
to
that
Pro.
didn't guarantee it. That didn't guarantee it. No, we
Okay.
we we had the relegation against Ocean's team.
That's right. Okay.
Yeah.
And there was some stuff there which I'll have you kind of explain because
Mhm.
I think that's maybe where some of the more recent dramas started to take
Yeah.
place. Okay, so you guys guaranteed finals. You go up against Temple Storm in the finals. You almost take a map off them, but they end up winning the best of 3, 2-0. And then after that, since they place first, they're moving up. You place second, which means you get to battle it out against the bottom of the Pro League from
Yeah.
that season, the bottom of the Pro League season, which was Ocean's team, which was called what?
It was I think it was Kokona.
Yes, that's right. Yep, that's right. Because
Kekona.
they had
Yeah.
AGG scummed them, which, as far as I
Yeah.
know, AGG still hasn't paid those guys. It's something
That's messed up. I thought that was really messed
I'll
up.
have to check in on that. And then
Yeah.
they switched to Kekona, which is a great team name for Ocean's team. And so you guys were scheduled to play against them, where the winner would make it or stay if they would have won
Mhm.
in Pro League for the following Pro League
Yeah.
season. Okay, so
Yeah.
take it from there.
So basically, this is what exactly happened. We won. We had like a day to chill at the LAN. We all were talking about what we're gonna do when we get back. Are we gonna practice? Are we gonna, when do we have to play this relegation match and all this stuff? So, basically, I don't forget who told me, but someone told me that Shinobi was talking to Marv, and Marv was talking to him about, hey, when you guys win relegation, let's try to do something. And I'm like, okay. So I didn't really
Shinobi,
want
just to
worry about
clarify,
that.
Shinobi was a player that had been on Complexity,
Yeah.
and then was released from Complexity. He was not a
Yeah.
part of the Pug Gods. He was not on your team, but
Nope.
Marv was a teammate. Just for those that
Yeah.
aren't super familiar with the teams and the rosters. So at that point in time, again, it was you, Marv, CJ DeKing, Cannon Chow, and
And Android.
Andrew.
Android wasn't a part of the team. He was playing for Complexity when he came to the LAN. He
Gotcha.
just came
He
to
had
the
already
LAN
signed a
because,
Complexity,
yeah,
but he was
yeah.
helping to fill out the rest of the season.
Yeah.
Okay.
So at that point,
Gotcha.
it was me, CJ, and Marv, the three players on the team. Like that was just us. We didn't know if we were gonna keep Cannon Chow as a coach. We had no idea what was gonna go on.
Okay.
But yeah, that's exactly what happened. And I know that Cannon Chow and Shinobi were really good, really good friends. So I'm like, okay, well, something's going on. I'm gonna, after the relegation, I plan to talk to the guys and see, what they wanted to do, because CJ basically told me, he goes, if we make it to pro, I want to keep us three and pick up two players no matter what. CJ was the owner of this. He was not the owner of the team, the owner of the roster. He was roster leader.
Okay.
So he's like, and I'm like, CJ, you want to stay with us three, like for sure? And he goes, yeah, I don't want to change anything. I like playing with you guys, and everything.
Okay.
With me, I wasn't, I wouldn't say like I had a bad confidence or anything, but I wanted to make sure I wasn't gonna get cut again.
Sure. And so CJ wanted to stay with kind of the core group, you, Marv, and him.
Yeah.
And what was the relationship between CJ and Marv? Were they like,
they're
peas in a
good
pod?
friends.
Okay. That's what I thought.
Really
I just
good
wasn't
friends.
sure if that. I didn't want to make that assumption. Okay.
Yeah,
so,
and me and CJ were good friends. Me and CJ were friends too. Like we were like close friends, like sort of.
Okay.
For the time that I knew him, but like I wasn't like as close as he was with Marv. You know what I mean? Like those guys went from open
Gotcha.
to Premier together.
Yeah, that's what I couldn't remember if that was true. So they're
Yeah.
really good friends. Shinobi approaches Marv and says, "Hey, like we can do something." And
Yeah.
at that point in time, you guys had a guaranteed 3 with you, CJ, and Marv. Wasn't
And
so
then-
sure if Ken and Chow
Yeah.
as your coach was going to keep playing or even stay on as a coach. And then what happened after that?
What happened was I thought I was fine with it. I thought Shinobi was a pretty good IGL, and I'm like, okay, I want to see what happens. And I'm like, what I talked to CJ, and CJ's like, yeah, they're probably, we might just pick up Shinobi and Vice. It'll be us 5. And I'm like, that sounds great. Like that, like to you, right? Like, doesn't that sound like a pretty good team? Like a pretty good 5, I guess, to start developing a team. Like that's what I thought. I'm like, hey, this is a pretty good 5. We have like. Everyone knows what they're doing. Everyone's been at this like level. It'll be great. So I go back home and I'm ready to play this relegation match. And then I find out that what Shinobi wanted to do is basically I have the screenshots too, and I obviously you can't show anything, but because I haven't sent them, I haven't sent anything. But basically what happened was Marv. Basically, CJ told me that Marv was afraid to play relegation against Kokona, Ocean's team. And I'm like, no offense to Ocean's team, but they were pretty much dead. And I felt like we had way more skill and we were definitely going to beat them and make that pro spot. So I'm like, why are you afraid to play them? Like it doesn't make sense. So CJ tells me that he's afraid to play blah, 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 and they want to merge rosters with SKDC to pretty much.
When you say SKDC, do you mean
Kokona? Yeah.
Okay, so the team
Yeah,
you're supposed to be
Kokona.
playing is Kokona.
Yeah.
Marv is afraid to play them because he feels like maybe you guys would lose and not have the opportunity to play in Pro League.
Mm-hmm.
And so then the idea comes up of, well, why don't we just merge rosters with them and then we
Yeah.
don't have to play and we still make it to Pro League.
Yeah. So basically, okay, Vice and Ruru were supposed to play relegation with Els and Ocean, and then I think it was that 4, and then Invert, because we're still on that team, he was supposed to play too. So Invert was gonna play, Els was gonna play, Ocean was gonna play, and even Ocean had screenshots of Rue or I think Vice saying that they were gonna play the relegation. And what happened was Shinobi goes, no. Shinobi asked Rue and Vice, and this is what I feel like. This is what I think that happened, because I had no idea what was going on at this point. Like I'm like, wow, these guys are trying to take kick me out of the team. They're also trying to rig the relegation because they know that if they take these 3 players, they're not going to have enough players to play. It's kind of a slick move, but it's
so
like,
okay. So
it's
to make sure I understand that, so ZPG is supposed to play Kokona for a spot in Pro League.
Yeah.
And the idea would be to take 3 players from Kokona,
Yeah.
add them to ZPG,
Mm-hmm.
remove you,
Yeah.
and by doing that, Kokona wouldn't be able to field 5, which means they would lose the relegation match
And that's exactly what happened too.
And then ZPG would then move up with a different 5 than had competed at the Premier LAN to earn the spot in the relegation match.
Yeah.
And the ESEA rules allowed roster changes for that to take place.
Yeah.
Okay. And that's what actually happened, like as you said.
Yeah, it happened.
So it
happened.
was CJ and Marv.
Mhm.
They picked up which 3 players?
Okay, so they picked up now. Shinobi wasn't a part of Kokona. They
Right.
picked up Rue, Vice, and David RGN. And this is David. He owns
Sure.
he runs Gorjan and all this stuff, and he managed Kokona. Basically, he was supposed to play with them. That's what I was told from I think Ocean. I don't quote me on this, but I think it was Ocean. that told me that David was supposed to play.
Okay.
They picked up David as a manager, and they picked up Vice and Rue to play.
Okay. And Shinobi.
And Shinobi, and
Okay.
you know, I came to mobile. I'm like, okay. CJ kept telling me this is all that happened. I wouldn't lie about this. The whole time CJ's telling me, FGB, I want to play with you. I think you're a really good player. I don't want to change the roster. And also, I'm like, okay, so let's not pick up Rue. Let's pick up Vice and Shinobi, and let's keep it like this. And he's telling me, and at this time, Marv was always like, okay, I'm gonna say how Marv was. I want to take this second. Like, Marv was always, he had some like sort of animosity towards me. I don't know why, but he was like, he had a little bit of animosity towards me ever since I started playing with him, or at least no, not ever since I started playing with him, but like mid-season to LAN, he had some weird animosity towards me. He was like a complete different person at LAN. At LAN, he was really nice, all this stuff, but online, like, he was just like sort of mean and like you
Right.
just had
You could just tell
yeah,
the
you could
vibes
tell he
weren't
didn't
the
like
vibes
me.
weren't
Yeah.
good. Gotcha.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, very bad vibes towards me.
But to contrast that, CJ the King was kind of staying loyal to you the whole way through.
Yeah, he was a good
Okay.
good
That's
teammate,
good. That's good to
friend,
know.
all this stuff. Yeah, and we CJ kept telling me that he wanted to play with me and he wasn't gonna change the roster and all this stuff, and I'm like, yo, you don't have to. Like, what happened was Shinobi had a sponsor and CJ was just confused. Like, he's like, I want Shinobi to come. Shinobi wasn't gonna play if I was on the roster, so he goes, I want Shinobi to come
And why
because he has
was
a
that?
sponsor.
Do you and Shinobi have some
No,
beef in
we
the
were
background or
friends.
something, or?
We were good friends. I'd say we were like, we talked a lot about the game,
Okay.
exchange days. We always talked about stuff, and I had no idea he thought I was, a bad player. He
Okay,
told me
so
himself,
he
goes, "I
didn't
don't
want to
think
play
you're
with you. He wouldn't
Yeah.
play with you because he didn't feel like you were good enough to be on
Mhm.
the team, not because he didn't like you for something in the past or whatever.
Yeah.
Okay.
No, it wasn't anything personal with Shinobi at
Okay.
all. And Shinobi didn't want to play, and that means Vice wasn't going to join. So CJ kept telling me that. I'm like, we don't really need them to get a sponsor. We could pick up. This is how. At this point, I'm gonna do everything in my powers so that I don't get screwed over again. Because when I got cut from Splice and SKDC, I knew that I had to improve. I knew that I was wrong in the situation. I had to get better. You know what I mean? And
Sure.
when I was like about to get cut from this, I'm like, there's no way I deserve this. I came to this line, I jailed, I did really good. I wouldn't say really good. I did pretty good, and I got from a bunch of different players. They told me I did good at this LAN. So I'm like, yo, I do not deserve this. Like, I'm gonna do what I can. Because when I got cut from Kokona and from SKDC, sorry, and Splice, there wasn't really much I could do. I couldn't just,
Right. And you kind of
fight
felt
back.
like you were expecting it. You thought it was going to happen.
Yeah,
That kind of thing.
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, for sure. And I didn't expect this at all from ZPG. So he's telling me, I want to play with you, but I want to get paid salary. And I'm like, okay, well, we're a team that's making it to pro, a young team,
Right.
And so like that is, sponsors look for that. Like, they look for these young teams that are coming into pro that could show off and all this stuff. And I have a lot of experience with sponsors. I at one point I was looking for sponsors, for one of my old teams in Premier. I forgot which one. And I'm telling him, I'm like, dude, we could get picked up by any sponsor, like, for sure. We just need to like wait it out. And he's like, no, blah blah blah. And I'm like, okay, well, what are you gonna do? So he told me, I still want to play with you, so I'm not gonna let you get cut. And I'm like, okay, that's fine. I'm down with that. And I'm like, how are you gonna make this work? Well, basically, I went to sleep that night and I woke up and I see CJ's like talking to me and he's like, you're coming Rumble. And I confront Marv, because at this point Marv like basically was talking to Shinobi the whole time behind my back, saying that he's gonna cut me, and I didn't confront him until like that day. So I wake up, I talk to Marv, I'm like, yo, why are you wanting to kick me off this team? Like, we did well and all this stuff. Like, what gives you the right to do that? And I said, Marv, you're not even the roster leader. Like you can't make this decision alone. CJ told me that he still wants to play with me. And CJ said, yeah, I do want to play with you. I told CJ, I'm like, CJ, we don't have to like let this, like break up a team, or you don't have to cut me or all this stuff. And CJ goes, well, I gave roster leader to Marv. After he gave the roster leader to Marv, I'm like, it's over. Like,
Right. You knew your fate was kind of sealed at that point. Okay.
Yeah, I left the Mumble and I'm just like, wow, this is fucking stupid.
And when did this took place before the relegation match was supposed to be scheduled?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I didn't play the
So
relegation.
it's after the LAN. You guys did well, better than expected at the LAN. You felt like you played pretty well. You've got the relegation match coming up. There's some stuff about maybe we can kill their team and automatically make Pro League if we pick up some players. Then Shinobi kind of comes in, tells Marv, like, yeah, I can get us a sponsor. You should pick me up. But if you do, I don't want to play with FGB. CJ then gives the roster leadership to Marv. And then,
which very confused me, because if someone wants to, I'm not going to call him a liar, but it definitely, like, it contradicts what he said to me.
Sure. And what he had told you may still have been true.
Mm-hmm.
So you'll find in life, but especially in esports, people hate conflict and are not comfortable with it. So
and that's exactly
if he's saying I want to play with
FGB
and Marv kind of pressures him a bit, he might say, like, you know what, it's your decision, and give him
that's exactly what happened. I forgot to
definitely a likely occurrence in esports. People just hate that type of conflict. So at that point, it's before the relegation match. You're no longer. So then I imagine Marv removes you from the roster, and then they add. Who do they add at that point?
Vice, Ryu, and David, and Shinobi.
Okay, and that's the current roster. If I'm
that's their roster right now. They have their manager, David, Shinobi, Vice, and Ryu.
And I'm imagining at some point they cleared this with ESEA, because it seems a little strange to me that only 2 players from the LAN were able to quote play in the relegation match to make it to Pro League. Seems a little strange, but I'm assuming they cleared that with ESEA at some point.
I'm not going to talk about what's going on with ESEA at all, because I'll say that there's still
Okay, so that case is still open, is what it sounds
like.
like.
It's still basically it's open. I'm not going to say what's going on. I'm not going to say what the admins have said to me or what I've said to the admins.
Okay.
I just want, like, justice for Ocean and Els. Ocean was signed to Caliber. He was already on another team, but Els wasn't able to, like, at least play relegation for his team and try to, like, I wanted a fair match.
Sure.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, and to your point, I think that K-Kona went like 1 in 8 million that season, right? Like they had 1 win against Complexity, I think, and they didn't really. I don't know how much practice.
No matter what, they still deserve to at least fight for their spot.
Sure.
You know
yeah, and but the point being that they weren't a team. It wasn't like you were going up and playing, Liquid or C9 or CS or someone that was grinding every day and constantly.
And even if we were playing Liquid, like, I'd still want that fair match. You know what I mean?
Okay.
I've always wanted.
So the ESEA case is still open, so we won't comment too much further, because I don't want to taint whatever it is those guys are working on, and I'm sure they're working on something.
Yeah.
So you are now without a team since that happened.
Yeah.
And what have you been doing since then to what are your goals now? Are you still trying to get on a pro team? Are you still grinding? Like, where are you trying to get to, and what are the actions that you're taking to help get you there?
After that whole thing happened, it really I don't know, it really, like, broke some of my will to play the game, because I've been working towards, like, a goal to make professional, to, like, try to get in. It's just, it really messed with me. It messed with my confidence. It messed with everything. I play in Rank S a lot, and I try to go up in Rank S, and I try to, like, make top 10 and the money and all this stuff. But that's not why I play it. Like, I play Rank S so I could get known, so that someone could notice me and pick me up to play. It lately hasn't been working that well. I've gotten a lot of criticism, very bad criticism, and
from Rank S.
From Rank S, yeah.
And what was the criticism that you were
just
receiving?
FGB's a bad player. FGB, holds W and all this random stuff, and I hate to say it, but I've paid attention to it, and it's dumb. I shouldn't have paid attention to it. I should have just kept on trying to but. I went through, like, sort of a dark month, like I wouldn't say month, but just a dark time, because I got on, I play like shit. I'd be, I'd have a bad mentality and everything. Because I didn't want to do it anymore. I didn't want to go through this whole team thing and then at the end get screwed over. I didn't want to deal with that. And at the end of the day, like, I pretty much realized that I don't want to, like, I don't want to quit this game, and I don't want to like let these people that put me down. You know what I mean?
Right.
So right now, I mean, like, I have a lot. I have a lot of passion about this game. Like, ever since I was young, I've always wanted to, like Like I used to watch like Eaton and SK and all these like teams. Like
Right, the
I used
classic
to, yeah,
legendary
yeah, the
teams.
classic legendary teams. Like I was like I was like 7, 8. You know what I mean? Watching these teams, so I've always wanted to be in their shoes. Like, and I'm not gonna let what happened, because I know that there's so many people in this community that would kill to be in my position,
Absolutely.
and I'm
Absolutely.
not gonna let that go. I'm not gonna let the people that want to put me down and kick me out of the scene. I'm not gonna let that happen.
So what?
But
So can you talk a little bit about
yeah,
sacrifices that you've made? Like, did you? I
I
know.
don't.
Did you finish college? Did you go to college? Like,
Uh,
I don't know any of that. So is that
I
something
haven't
you
started
skipped with
college.
the pursuit of trying to go pro at CS:GO? Is that something you're putting on hold because you want to chase
Yeah.
this dream?
I mean, pretty much. When I first made pro, and I looked at, when I saw that all these teams were getting paid salary, and these players that I knew that were making a living off of the game, I'm like, all right. I put some of that stuff aside. I put it on pause because I'm not gonna like completely destroy my life to try to like play this game full time. But I put it on pause for a bit so I could focus on this, because this game takes a lot of focus. It takes a lot of passion and focus. And yeah, I have paused, like I haven't started college yet. I did quit like a job that I had before that just to play this game full time and stream. And what my plan was, I wanted to stream, make whatever I could off of streaming, off of subs and stuff, but also play the game professionally. Like streaming would have been like a very small time, a small portion of my my day, but that was my plan. Like I wanted to play with these pro teams, get salary. Salary wasn't really that big of a deal to me, but I wanted to like make it my living. I wanted to try to make CS:GO my living,
Okay.
like all these other players did, like like these players in C9
Sure.
Liquid and
Yeah, you're
all these
you're seeing
teams.
the
Yeah,
pros being able to live the game
exactly.
and make
And
money
that's what
off
I
it.
want, because I want to be able to play this game that I take so serious, and this game that I love so much. I want to be able to do it for a living, because you know that quote, if you find the career, you'll never have to work a day in your life. That's how I feel about CS:GO.
Right. Yeah. If the job is something that you love, then you never work a day in
Exactly.
your life. Yep.
Yeah.
And
Hmm.
so, what does your day look like now? Like, what? Talk me through. Not today, because obviously you're here talking to me, but
Yeah.
like yesterday, the day before. Like, what are you doing each and every day to help you get back to that level? And the reason that I ask, so recently, it's been a little bit of a narrative of mine, is that looking at the motivation level of a lot of these professional teams and professional players,
Mhm.
I'm seeing guys with like 40 hours every 2 weeks, right? And this is supposed to be your full time thing, and
Yeah.
it doesn't mean, excuse me, you have to always be death matching or whatever. It could
Mhm.
be you're streaming, right? And you're pugging, you're having some fun, you're
Yeah.
laughing, but you're in the game. You're at least working on the mechanics of the game. What is it that you're doing to help get you back to the level where this can be your full time money making thing?
Um. Well, basically, I'm here talking to you today. Like the reason why I haven't talked about this whole thing since now is because I'm just now getting back into it. I'm just now, you know, working towards that goal again. Because I took a break. I still played Rankeds, but I took a break, and I don't want to like touch the game anymore and all this stuff. Um, what I'm doing now is I'm getting back on. I'm DMing. I'm watching these these huge E-League games and the majors and everything. I'm trying to get myself prepared as much as possible so I could get back, because right now rosters are locked. This season I'm not joining a team anytime soon, and I'm trying to get myself prepared so I could get back into the scene and pretty much just show everyone that I could compete at a top level, because I know I can, and I've showed that I can. Like I've played against really good teams. Like I've played against these top NA teams, and I've done pretty well. Like I wouldn't say I destroyed them, or I wouldn't say that I pulled like what's sick and twists and all these like insane like young players are doing right now. I haven't done that, but I know that I could compete really well, and I could make a difference in a in team environment.
So if you look at the
And
team landscape now,
mhm.
what team would you feel like you'd fit in best on? Like if you could pick the team to join,
Mhm.
who would you join and why?
Who would I gotta think about that. I'd say, I mean, off the top of my head, I'd say Selfless.
Yeah,
I'd
nice.
say Selfless because,
And why is that? And
well,
I
I
just want
see.
the audience to know I didn't pay you for that
No,
response.
no,
That
no,
was
no.
completely of
This
your
is
own will.
genuine. This is genuine. No, no. I'm generally honest about this. It would be Selfless because I look at Selfless as a team that's working towards a goal, and a team that values, like, you know, um, smart players that are willing to, do whatever it takes to get a win, and all that stuff. Like I see like the young players on Selfless, and I don't know, like I just feel like I'd fit good, in that environment with them. Maybe, I don't know, maybe Splice, maybe Complexity. I mean, these are just teams that I'm like, I don't know, these are just teams I feel like I could, play on the level of, and get better with.
Okay, that's
And
fair.
and it's just like I would be lying if I said that I didn't actually, feel that way. I do feel that way. I feel like I could play with these teams, and I could show, you know, improvement, and show that, like, playing against Liquid, playing against Optic C9 and Luminosity, like I could do good against these teams, but I just need, that chance again to play. I need that chance to show what I've got, because like I've been off the scene for like 3 or 4 months ever since, ZPG and all that stuff.
Okay,
Yeah,
fair
it's
enough.
just been a really rough road though. Like that's all I gotta say.
And so, just to ask a few more questions before we wrap up here.
Hmm.
What do you think of the current events? The whole betting thing, no more
Oh,
skin. What are your
that
thoughts on that, real quick? You think it's a good thing, bad thing? Are you happy? You sad? Because
um
at on a pro team, you're not allowed to bet. Like
yeah.
you've got to be like arm's length from all that stuff anyway. I'm just curious what your thoughts are, and
I
how
think
you think that could impact you or the scene, and you know
mhm.
your
I
thoughts
think it's a
there.
really, really good thing, because I want people to focus. I'm sure every pro wants, let's say you're a player that's never heard of CS:GO, you're someone that's never, watched an esport. I want people to come into CS:GO and watch it for the game. I want them to watch it for these two teams that are battling to try to win, this title. I don't want them to come in and watch streamers gamble. You know what I mean? I don't want gambling to be like the focus point of CS:GO anymore. You know what I mean? Because skins and gambling has been the focus point of CS:GO for a bit. I wouldn't say more than like the majors, or more than like, what E League and all this stuff is going, but I think it's time that we let the viewership grow with, from people wanting to actually watch the game and think that it's entertaining.
Right.
Because I love watching the game. I think that this game is so damn entertaining, and it's a shame that, people think that CS:GO Lounge has like this huge, massive influence on our viewership. I think that CS:GO Lounge does help it a little bit, but I don't think that it's like the majority of viewers.
Okay. Fair enough.
I
And
think it'd be a good thing.
so two more questions. One is a
Okay.
yes or no, and then the other one's going to be your advice to players that you mentioned before, that there's probably thousands of players that would kill to be in your shoes in the position that you're
Okay.
in. So the first question, yes or no, do you think there are any pro level players that are cheating in CS:GO today?
Wow. Yeah, I do.
Okay. And
Definitely.
and we're going to wrap this up with your advice for the young guns out there, people grinding, trying to get to the pro level, that are maybe, closing in on getting to that premier level, that kind of semi-pro. Now you're at the tipping point. The guy that's putting in the work. What would you say to that person or that player? Is it did she have anything that she wanted to add?
Yeah,
I
I
don't
was
know
about
if
to
you want to
say
bring her have her answer that question.
that.
So yeah, any advice that you would
um,
give to young guns that are starting to get close to that tipping point of premier, semi-pro
uh,
to pro level?
Pretty much just okay, well, I would say don't bullshit yourself in this game. Don't bullshit. Don't say I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna do that, I'm gonna watch these demos, I'm gonna DM, I'm gonna get better. Don't bullshit yourself. You know, make sure you do whatever it takes, so, to be ready to play this game at a high level. Um, Work towards it. If you have that skill, if you know you have that skill, and you truly want to get better, don't bullshit yourself. And another thing that I want to add is, like, don't let anybody put you down in this game at all. Like, this community could be really, really rough on especially young players. Like, the whole online thing, like that is it's just, don't let anybody put you down. Like, pro players and the community as well. Like, you should always like keep positivity is basically the key to like success in this game. You have to be positive no matter what. Don't let raging take you. Don't overthink things, like especially in matches, or even when you're playing like scrims and stuff. Like, just overthink, and that's pretty much what I have to say. I mean, coming from advice.
Okay. Awesome. Appreciate that. So I guess with that, we'll wrap it up here. I don't know if you have any other last words. We've been going, say, about 45 minutes. Pretty good period of time.
I want to thank you for this opportunity. I wanted to just tell my side of of everything that's been going on. Appreciate it, man. Thank you.
Cool. You bet. Thanks, FGB. Appreciate you being on. Probably
No
going to
problem.
do more of these kinds of videos just with other people, other members of the community. So if you guys have any feedback that's good or bad, and it can be, the sound quality, it could be the video quality, it could be guests that you'd like to see. Any feedback that you have, please feel free to tweet it to me, to leave it in the comment section, that kind of thing, and just make it visible so that I know that you guys are, sharing some thoughts. And just a quick shout out to FGB. Big thanks for him coming on and telling this story. You can see there his Twitter handle is @FGBCSGO. So if you guys can, just go over there, give him a follow, and I'll see you guys next time. Appreciate you tuning in.